Art is the reshaping of reality by man to present it in an understandable way. As the artist recreates the world around him, it is shaped by how he sees it and what he believes in. The Indian artist did not attempt to depict only the material reality around him. He wished to share the complete experience of the world, not just the photographic presentation of the shapes around him.
Beauty for the Indian artist has been a reflection of the glory of God. In fact, for the ancient artist, the experience of beauty, the ecstasy on seeing nature or art which is truly beautiful, has been considered as akin to Brahmanand or the final bliss. Join us on this journey into the heart of the Indian tradition of painting. Come with us to the gorge of the Baghora river, where Ajanta was created, to the courts of the Mughals and the Deccan Sultans. Journey with us through the deserts of Rajasthan and the icy lands of Ladakh and Lahore Spiti. In the verdant south and in the gentle hills of the north, experience the compassionate view of life that is enshrined in Indian painting.
In the philosophy of India, land of Western Rajasthan, the material world around us is a place steeped in chivalry to be an romance. It is the life of the spirit. It is a land of stories of proud warriors, which is seen to be far more real princesses than the fleeting life in this world. A land of vibrant colors, poetry, and the paintings of ancient India bring us some of the most beautiful depictions of this life within. The life of the soul of man, which is an indivisible part of the whole of existence. In days gone by, caravans passed through here. The second millennium brings to us the continuation of many this great tradition of painting. We see the gentle bodhisattvas in the beginning of the second millennium, now brought to us in intimate miniature paintings in Buddhist manuscripts. The many clans of proud Rajputs who ruled here, these paintings take us to a peaceful sanctuary with the changing far from the clamour of the material world. Simultaneous with the Buddhist tradition of palm leaf paintings in the 16th century, another great tradition which flourished in the second millennium was that of the Jains. A vast and cohesive empire was These created. Paintings present us the earliest manifestations stretching of a new style of painting to the west of India, which evolved from the ancient idiom and spread to every corner of India. Akbar was an enlightened man and These statesman. Paintings are lively he and consolidated his great empire with animated gestures and rhythmic movement. The figures possess a vital life. He did not attempt to suppress from the naturalistic figures of the ancient idiom, with their sinuous and lilting grace, we see the transition to greater abstraction in the Jain paintings and made them his vassals. Colours are laid out integrated into his empire, and there is a marvelous sense of the daughters of Rajput rulers. In fact, the Emperor Jahangir was the son of an Amir princess, and his son Shah Jahan was born to a princess of Bikaner. Instead of the earlier emphasis on volume and modelling, were given positions and paintings now present a lively style and allowed which is to rule predominantly linear. Under the imperial sway, this style establishes the medieval idiom in the paintings of India. This led to a period of peace and material prosperity. These exquisite Jain paintings, it was also a time of the cultural Indian tradition of painting religious themes. There was a vigorous new deeply religious and art, and their vision looks far beyond and the other transitory concerns of the material world. This was the model constantly looked up to. The 12th century in India saw the spread of the Bhakti movement, which transformed the art and culture of the land. This cult of intense personal devotion to the Lord led to a profusion of literature and poetry. Is a land with a rich themes were of the love and yearning of the human soul for the Almighty. It was ruled by the Rathore clan, and this was represented through many stories and images of love upon this earth. The early paintings of the Marwar of central India have deep illustrating roots in the Awadhi romance tradition. Lord Chanda closely reflect the Jain or Western Indian style of painting. The figures are vital and energetic, and the projecting further eye of the Jain style is continued here. Jodhpur's association with the Mughals, another exquisite body of paintings, which emerged from the Jain or Western Indian style, safe passage came to be known as the Chor Panchashika style. Akbar captured the Jodhpur fort in 1564, and gradually the area was brought under the direct rule. This style was to become the basis of the widespread schools of Rajasthani miniature paintings, which were to come in later centuries. Uday Singh, popularly known as Mota Raja, was instated by Akbar as the ruler of Jodhpur. The themes of divine love in Indian paintings, the Mughal court made radical innovations, are continued right through the medieval period of Indian paintings. In the Rajput paintings of Malwa, whereas in the past only religious and traditional themes were painted, the emphasis now shifted. Malwa, which borders Rajasthan on the southeast, the glorification of individuals, has had a rich heritage of paintings from early times. It is an area which saw the rich confluence of the indigenous traditions with the Persian influences which came through the Delhi sultans.
The whole idea of portraying an actual person, painting a portrait of a living person,
Malwa developed an idiom which has the striking and vibrant qualities of the Western Indian tradition.
In the 17th century in India,
there is a marvelous sense of design.
Introduced, of course, by the
colours are bold and rich.
Really got it from
the foliage is exuberant.
And it was when
there is that sense of sympathy with the entire natural world
that they became exposed
which is so
to
inherent in Indian paintings.
Of portraiture and the whole concept of what you might call documentary painting, instead of illustrating the religious texts, which is something that had been going on already for several.
These miniatures continue the traditional themes of Lord
now
Krishna.
They were thinking that they could start actually depicting
and the rags
themselves
of Indian music,
their colleagues and their families in actual documents that depicted them as they really were, although obviously with a little flattering embellishment usually. We can recognise Maharaja Jaswant Singh from this picture, and we see him in many other Jodhpur paintings of the 17th century. This is really, we're talking about the 1640s. This is really
Mewar in the south of Rajasthan was the proudest of all the Rajput kingdoms.
Showing themselves to be
the Ranas of Mewar were the last of the Rajput rulers to accept Mughal overlordship.
Painting, as it's called, where
to
all
them,
the nobles
freedom was as precious as the air they breathed,
and this is something that we're going to
and
see
they stoutly
over
resisted the armies of Babur and Akbar.
And it's quite interesting to see how that same composition
Chittorgarh fell in 1569,
styles
and a new capital had to be built at Udaipur. In the 17th century, during the reigns of Jahangir and Shah Jahan, portraits became increasingly formal and grand. Mughal supremacy was finally accepted at the beginning of the 17th century. And there was close interaction with the Mughal court in the times of Jahangir and Shah Jahan. The dignity of a pose on horseback was ideally suited to the regal manner. The timeless paintings of Mewar wished to be to us a world of simplicity. This remained one of the most favoured forms of portraiture in the centuries to come. The themes are religious. They bring to us a reality which transcends the ephemeral
loved to be
and takes
painted,
us to the deep
as well as
essence of
surrounded by
things.
their nobles, was on horseback or hunting. But particularly the equestrian portrait, where the ruler is riding along surrounded by his retinue, became extremely popular in the 18th century. This was something that was basically borrowed, like most of the concepts of Rajasthani painting was kind of borrowed from Mughal art.
Macrocosmic understanding.
First, like
and you
else,
get there
the Maharajas who were depicted on
in
horseback.
Indian painting and through the immediate experience that allows you to go through doors. And I think it makes Indian painting that much
the
more
ruler
accessible
on the horse continued
to
to be
more
extremely
people.
popular. And by the middle of the 19th century, when this painting
smiles
was done,
and tears
practically
and
every
blood
noble in
and
Rajasthan was having
human
his
experience
portrait painted
that
on horseback,
is left
surrounded
there
by
for you
servants.
to feel.
But here you can see that the horse
There is a
has
marvelous
become
continuous
almost a
narrative in
caricature
these
of the
paintings.
rather elegant equestrian
past,
style of
the present,
Mughal and
and the
earlier
future
Rajput period.
are all seen together
He's become
in
a
one
very sort of
encompassing
round,
vision.
Wonderful, bouncy
There is no
looking horse.
concept of a time where the past is no more and where
you
the
can see
future
that a style
yet to
is starting
come.
to evolve. Really, in the
All
early
actions
18th
occur
century, this is when the
simultaneously
Rajasthani schools were really coming
in an
into their
eternal
own
time
and starting
and
to
space.
gain their own identities.
Painter
All sorts of
is
local
using his
artists were
pictorial
now
space
experimenting with
almost
adapting this
as a
Mughal
walking
style
journey.
of portraiture and using a very different
this
sense of
walking
colour
journey?
and
It is
design
not
to
just
the
a
Mughal
question
artists.
of one location to another, but
But
it
now
is
we've got this
almost a
wonderful,
walking journey
earthy
the
sort of
inner
colour
emotions.
palette and rather angular
It is the
style of drawing that
recreation
is
of
starting to become associated particularly with
emotive states
Jodhpur and with
which the
Marwar in
painter
western
has
Rajasthan.
internalized,
And again, very
then
distinctive are
made
their
a,
wonderful
if I may
tall
call it,
turbans.
a
That
visual poetry.
you can always tell a
The Indian
Jodhpur
view of time
ruler of the 18th century by his
may
wonderful
not be
turban.
unique, but it has a flavor, it has a quality of its own. And I think
Earlier,
the
the
Hindu
Jodhpur
Buddhist Jain
painters
view of
closely
time, this is
followed
what
the
I'm
style
talking
of the
about,
Mughal ateliers.
had a deep bearing, an
By the
impact
18th
upon
century,
the thinking of the mind
a
of the
distinct
artist.
Rajasthani
And
flavour
it
developed
is
in the
important
paintings.
for us to be able to bear this in mind.
The
when we
subjects
try and
continued to be
decode
centred around the
the
glorification of
works
the
that he
rulers.
produced.
But now,
Likewise,
they were
what his
presented
understanding of
in an
space
environment
was.
which was distinctly
Now, where else do you
their
get
own.
statements, as we do in India sometimes,
We see the bold use of
that
colours,
man would be free or
an ornamental sense of design,
things will happen when
and
the
the
man
rich
is
flavour
when man
of
is
the
able to
culture
roll up
of
space
Rajasthan.
like a deer skin, put it under his arm and
In
walk
this
off.
Darbar portrait, we have
Yada
yet again
Charmavada
the
Akasham
favourite
Vishnu
scene of the
Shinti
ruler with his nobles
The
gathered around
painter is
him. But
marvellously
now we're getting
assured,
towards the end of the
simple,
18th century, and it's
yet very
starting
bold
to
in his
develop
execution.
a rather more
the paintings are
a
uncluttered
less folky
with the
style.
ornamentation
it's a much more
of too
formal
many
style
details.
that's evolving, and this is one that we're going to see throughout the 19th century in Jodhpur. These very sort of graphic lines with these wonderful black shields used as an accent throughout the picture.
They deal with the
and again,
essence of the subject
the use of very
and present it
elaborate
before us in
trees
its
and floral
purity.
decorations in the background is something that's quite new, comes up in the late 18th century, but is going to be developed more and more throughout
colours
the
are
19th.
saturated with the
Very
vibrancy of life,
feeling, which is very
which is
different
inherent
to the very
in these
sort of
paintings.
austere and earthy type of colours that we were seeing early on in the 18th century. And also this brilliant red and yellow is something
The appeal of
that's
these
quite
paintings
new in
is timeless
Jodhpur, but is going to continue to
and
be
can
used
compare with the
later on
best
as
of the
well.
paintings of any age. Bikaner was a part of Marwar until it became a separate state in 1465. It remained close to the Mughal court, and a Bikaner princess was
see an
married
outpouring
to
of
Akbar's
love
son Salim
in the exquisite paintings
became
of
the emperor
Mewar
on
on
divine themes. She was the mother
the
of
Geet
Emperor
Gobind,
Shah Jahan, the Bhagavad Puran, the Rasik Priya. Not many paintings were made in
Rasmanjari,
Bikaner
the
before the
Satsai,
17th century, and many others by when the
are
Mughal
vividly
idiom in
depicted
painting
in these
had
beautiful
become firmly
paintings.
established as the dominant style in the country. These miniatures provide us a tradition of interwoven words and paintings of Bikaner present the thoughts and ideas reach us religious through an intimate association painted with a refined and subdued palette. These are quite unlike the vivid and bold colors of Mewar was steeped intensely in the Bhakti cult. Meera, the wife of Bhojraj of Mewar in the 16th century, wrote some of the most beautiful verses in praise of Lord Krishna. Many artists who were dislodged from the Mughal ateliers during the rule of Aurangzeb in Mewar migrated to the profusion of ragmalas in search of new patronage. Garlands of paintings on the theme of rags. We see the influence of the Mughal style. Rags are classical Indian musical patterns of colors. Their purpose is to transport a person and exquisitely finished details to feel the deep sensations of a particular emotion, ambience, time of day and season. There is in the best associated with the rag a sense of the sublime. A variety of these paintings are meant to transport the viewer ranging from to the same plane of transcendent ecstasy as the rags to scenes of leisure bordering on the decadent. An event of historic importance in the reign of Raj Singh in the 17th century was the establishment of the Srinathji idol in Sihda,
but what we do
which
start
came
to
to
get,
be
especially
known
in the 18th
as Nath
century,
Dwara.
are some rather idealized, rather
Paintings
stylized
depicting the idol of
images of
Srinathji
women,
and the
indulging in
temple
what
at
might be
Nath
seen
Dwara
as sort of
became
courtly
extremely
pursuits
popular
or sort of
in times
womanly
to come.
activities. And this type of small painting of women
Srinathji is
indulging in
considered
things
as
like
a
flying
living
kites or writing
Krishna.
letters
So
or
all the paintings,
hunting or
murals,
feeding pigeons or
pitchwise,
whatever. These were often
and
considered
other
suitable
decorative things that
gifts
are done
for
there
the
are mainly
Maharaja,
to please
and
this
they often
living
have
God. And that's why
extensive
they are done
inscriptions on
more
the back saying
from
exactly
within.
when they were given,
That's
on
why
what
it has the
occasion,
quality of a very
and to which ruler
joyfulness
they might be
or
given
playfulness.
at Holi or
that makes
on
it
his birthday
different
or
than
on
other
the
schools.
date of his accession or whatever. And these small, rather romantic pictures were obviously very, very much in favour for that purpose.
After Mewar accepted Mughal supremacy in the 17th century, of Amer, there was considerable interaction with the Mughal court right from the time of Babur. We gradually see the style of the rulership of Amer was beginning to influence by the later paintings of Mewar. The relationship between the Kachwahas paintings and made Mughals during the reign of Sangram Singh II married the princess the changes in the style which had come by the 18th century. Of Amer was also a confidant of Akbar and commander-in-chief of his army. The rulers of Amer and Jaipur remained very close nearby to the Bundi, were originally vassals of Mewar, very closely reflect the influence of the Mughal idiom. In the mid-16th century, they surrendered to Akbar and accepted the sovereignty of the Mughal Empire. We see here a continuation of the religious and traditional themes. The picturesque township of Bundi was a flourishing centre of painting in medieval Rajasthan, Indian classical music. The murals which survive in many rooms of the fortified palace and bring us a glimpse of the tradition to be evoked by the patterns in that musical modes called rags. Bundi was also one of the important centres of miniature painting style in Rajasthan. These paintings are decorative and they lack we can see here the close similarities between the mural and the miniature paintings of Rajasthan. In the themes, styles and compositions, there is only a difference of scale between the paintings on the walls by Kishan Singh, son of Raja representations on paper in 1609. The city and palace were built on the banks of a lake. Like other Rajput princes of his time, Kishan Singh served in the Mughal army. We see in these paintings the indigenous style of Rajasthan, blended with the influences of the imperial Mughal painters. A remarkable patron named Savant Singh ascended the throne of Kishangarh. The best of the Bundi paintings, Kishangarh, retain the sense of closeness to nature. Idiom. During the reign of foliage is exuberant and appears to overflow into the world of the deeply interested in poetry, and wrote verses in praise of the artist Krishna, who sees the oneness of all the beings of creation. Savant Singh was in love with a court singer called Bani Thani. Here began a very interesting and curious aspect of Kishangarh paintings. The female figures in the paintings, especially those of Radha, are believed to be modelled on Bani Thani. The themes range from the traditional religious image of Radha and the Ragmalas consort to scenes of love upon this earth and their own and the glorification of rulers of Radha and Krishna. In these, we see the distinct influence of the Mughal ateliers. Thus, in these paintings, Krishna, the technique of depicting swirling is water, presented more as a sophisticated prince, skies tinged with brilliant hues, as a self-conscious beauty, and lush vegetation are characteristic features of Bundi paintings. The influence of the Mughal setting of the Kishangarh is seen in the shift from the brilliant colouring of the earlier paintings, with its lake full of simplicity and vigour. We see now a more studied delicacy and subdued colours. The faces exhibit the Mughal technique in the manner of shading to impart a sense of Nagaridas. And when the sun was setting in the west, the kingdom of Kota along the was formed in 1631 to music from the Sakhis, when Shah Jahan gave a section with the murmuring of each to Madhav Singh, crest, the brother of the ruler of Bundi, of a single oar. The early paintings of Kota are indistinguishable from those of Bundi, past marble palaces and temples gleaming white, and low by the 18th century, Kota paintings developed a distinctive character. The finest paintings of Kota bring alive the teeming life of the hills of Rajasthan, with having formed a distinct facial type. In these hunting scenes, to be identified, it is nature with the stylized, the trees and the animals, which occupy center stage. Radha and Krishna are portrayed amidst the vigorous life of all these. Men appear hidden behind bushes and arched eyebrows, and lotus-like eyes. Though they are royal figures out on glorious hunts, they appear not as dominating personalities, but only as a part of these paintings are highly decorative in nature, and are quite unlike the simple expressions of divine love in the earlier Rajasthani paintings. In the words of Anand Kumaraswamy, these are amazing, almost surreal landscapes. Rajput art is a world where all men the artist appears to be in love with the rugged beauty of the world around him. All women are beautiful and passionate and shy. The animal studies of Kota are masterpieces, beasts both wild and tame. The sinuous strength and movement of the animal are captured in a manner which goes far beyond photographic realism. And the trees and flowers are conscious of the footsteps. These drawings bring alive the pulsating vigour of the animal. These are some of the finest miniatures. The miniatures of Rajasthan present a world of vivid colour and chivalry. There are also many portraits presenting grand images roots in an ancient culture and proud Rajput rulers. And they present a period which is fast changing under the impact of new the early miniature paintings of Rajasthan bring to us an enchanted proximity of the Mughal court. They continue the legacy of the medieval tradition empire, which begins in the Jain paintings of Western India, shaping these paintings of Rajasthan. These paintings present a world permeated by the life of the spirit. Each world which is shaped by a view of the divinity and takes us which underlies all of creation. These are a simple and vital expression a unique blend of the traditional beliefs of the land and the new technical finesse which was developed in the Mughal ateliers. The 16th century and the dawn of the great Mughal Empire brought dominant new influences to every aspect of the life of the Indian subcontinent. In the area of painting, new subjects and a great technical sophistication in the meantime were created in the imperial many Rajput painters travelled to the verdant hills of present-day Himachal Pradesh. Amidst the lush of Rajasthan, of the gentle hills, assimilated the art of technical finesse of the Mughal court painters, some of the most beautiful paintings in the confluence which took place. The broad stream of the medieval tradition of Indian paintings chartered entirely new courses. As we look at the miniature paintings of Rajasthan, we embark on a journey into myths and legends, forts and palaces, deserts and hills. Each Rajput kingdom, with its own spirit and intrinsic beauty, beckons us to lift its veil and seek the story it has to tell.